you contacted me out of the blue and said, would you be willing to go to Rome and meet the Pope? Which is the weirdest, to this day, I think it's the third weirdest text I've ever had. The other two I can't say on the air. But this text came in and I thought, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And so I contacted you back, and then it turned out insane, as if some higher power was at work, that my wife, my son, and I were going to be in Italy at Lake Como that week. So literally all we had to do was get on a train and go down and be part of this, because they were inviting comedians. So it's you, me, Chris Rock, Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert,
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
I mean, the list goes on. David Sedaris, Tig Notaro.
Yeah, just Rami. Just really interesting. I mean, it's such a surreal experience. But like in that setting, like I don't know if you remember, because we all went in there. It was like
first of all, I think they told us to be outside the Vatican at the gates at 6:50 in the morning or something. I mean, the sun is just coming up in Rome, and I thought, doesn't the Pope? He's the Pope. He should be sleep. I would be like hitting this. If I was the Pope, I would hit my snooze alarm constantly. I would just sleep as late as possible.
Yeah, he's like in his 80s.
They told us that we were like his third thing of the day. That he gets up at like 5 a.m. And so we got there, and then they bring us into the Vatican and they sit us down this surreal room.
Yeah, there's comedians from every country.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably a humorous take on where there was a meeting and someone was like, well, why don't we bring in the comedians from throughout the world? But the Pope was, it was about humor, how we could help. I don't know.
No, it was actually... He gave his speech. His speech was in Italian.
Yes.
So we couldn't understand it, but they gave us the printout of the speech, and it was actually it was very beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a very nice unifying idea about comedy and how it relates to bringing people together. And I thought, well, that's...
And humor's a level of honesty and all that. Yeah.
And then, so it was, but he didn't have an ender. And we were booing him.
I did notes on the thing, and I handed him like, here's my rewrite.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you did it while he was doing it, which was
just
very
some
rude.
punch-ups. You know what I mean? Some punch-ups.
Yeah. So that was a very surreal experience.
Yeah. So we are in this room in the Vatican, and there's comedians from all the different countries, like Stephen Merchant.
Yep.
There were some countries where you're like, wow, shouldn't they have more people from? Like, there was no one from the Philippines. I was like, I've been to the Philippines. That's a pretty Catholic country.
And there were a couple of people like quizzed, and they were like, I'm more of a weatherman. A lighthearted weatherman. I'm like, well, you're not a comedian. No, sometimes I say low pressure front, more like high pressure front. Okay, but yeah, it was just a little...
I'm a cartoonist.
Yeah.
And there's 300, I don't know how many.
All over the world, yeah.
All over the world, sitting in this room. It was literally it's like everyone that couldn't behave in church or synagogue or in the mosque was in this room. Because it was his third meeting, there'd be these people that would walk by.
The Swiss Guards came out.
Yes.
The Swiss Guards came out and did this whole, they're wearing the outfit of the Swiss Guard, which was designed by...
Leonardo
DiCaprio, right? Leonardo
da Vinci.
Leonardo da Vinci designed it, and if Leonardo da Vinci hadn't designed it, they would have changed it a long time ago.
Yes,
because it looks like a cross between a clown costume and someone who's working at a ground rounder. I don't know. It just looked insane. They come out with pikes. They do a whole thing, and then the Pope came out,
and they're walking by. So there's people. You feel like you're just sitting in the room waiting, and there's people, these characters that go by that are from like medieval times.
Yes.
You're like, wait, what is...
It was a medieval fair.
It's like, what is going on? So you think, oh, the Pope's coming. But in that setting, do you remember Jimmy Fallon stood up and did bits? And I was like, he's the king of the clowns.
Yeah. Well, the rest of us were like, well, we got to kind
We
of
should be respectful.
the rest of us are being kind of respectful. He did like an 8-minute Mr. Bean bit where he can't find his chair and he keeps flopping down and falling down. and we're and he's like, wow, whoa. And then he gets up and turns the chair around, but it's going the wrong way. And he's like, who's a hubba hooba?
But it was very funny.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was also it was this meeting of everyone who couldn't behave, who was at one point in 8th grade sent to the principal's office. It was fascinating.
My favorite was the part where we're all going up. They line us up and we all go up to shake hands with the Pope.
Because that was also fun seeing people's different reactions.
Everyone was different. I mean, Stephen Colbert, it was he's very pious and devout, and
probably knows more about Catholicism than the Pope.
Oh,
right.
And also, he asked me the night before, like I think in front of everybody, we all went out to dinner, and he said, "Conan, do you think the Pope is aware of your work?" And I said, "Abso-fucking-lutely not." He's an Argentinian man who's in his 80s, and you're like, no, there's no way he knows me. Yeah. I think Stephen was hoping that the Pope was big fans of all of ours.
Oh, really? Well, I know that.
He knows you, I think.
No, well, I mean, I met him, but I don't think that.
Well, he went to your high school.
The Pope went to my.
With Robert, it's you, Roberts, and the Pope.
But Stephen did. I think he does the audible or the audio of all the Pope's books.
Yes, and he told that to the Pope.
Yeah.
When he was up there.
And the Pope just probably gave him like,
no.
Get out of here.
I asked it, like, he said, I could see him. If you see the videotape, Stephen's talking to him for a little bit. The rest of us are just going like, hello, Your Eminence, and good, nice place you got here. And then we move on. And, nice job plundering the world's gold over an 800-year period.
Nice conquest of South America.
Yeah. No one advertises like you guys. Whatever. But Stephen's talking to him for a bit, and I asked Stephen what he talked about, and he said, I told him, Your Holiness, I do your audiobook, and I narrate it, and blah, blah, blah. And he said the Pope used his hand to push him down the line. That's a nice, now get the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
Did you bring gold? No, we didn't bring gold. Then I steal your gold. No, you can't do that anymore. I'll get your gold.
He's a leprechaun.
He's a leprechaun now.
Get your gold.
I'll get your gold. You'll see.
That's the spicy meatball.
I'll send a conquistador. I got your gold. No, you can't really do that anymore. You want to taste a pizza pie? I've got a pizza pie. Wow. I'm glad they didn't let me perform at that thing. That would have gone badly. But it was crazy. And then they said at the end that we got to, I thought we were getting I sound like a real dick now, but I thought, well, you've come all this way. Well, for me, I pretended that I flew all the way from LA when I just literally got an Uber from Lake Como and then demanded, pay for my airfare back. I didn't do that. But I thought, then they said, like, and then you may tour the Vatican. But basically they just shoved us through a door, and then we were in with all the tourists, and tourists were like, what are you doing here?
It was weird. After that event, they let us into this room, and there was this red carpet, like media. And I was like, now I know why we're here.
Yeah.
It's kind of, but it was kind of.
It's what they do in an award show. Everyone's there to get their media, and
and also get the message out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as you said, it was a very sincere message, and
it was beautiful. It was really nice. It was a nice message. My golden conquistador riff aside, 800 years of plundering still. It was a lovely message.
Great example of something that's cool, complicated. Like even talking to Julia Louis-Dreyfus, there's some complexity. Like at the dinner, she's like, I don't know how I feel about some of this. I'm like, that's why it's interesting, because it's complex.
Yes, we all went in there, I think, for the most part, with complex feelings about this institution and its place in the modern world, and of course the women who were present had very complicated feelings,
of course.
And it was really nice to talk about all that.
Yeah,